The Black church community has been hit by some of the most damning scandals, but nothing comes close to the cases of pastors caught diverting church funds for personal enjoyment. From splashing millions of dollars of church funds on private jets and other luxuries, to getting indicted for fraud and embezzlement, these are the 10 times Black pastors got caught using church funds for luxury. Number 10. Pastor Ayo Oritsejafor. We'll kick things off today from Nigeria, where one of Africa's most prominent Christian names was caught in a controversy that shook him to the core. How often has a scandal been so loud that it paused a whole country? Pastor Ayo Joseph Oritsejafor, popularly known as Papa Ayo, is the founder of Word of Life Bible Church, a Pentecostal Christian megachurch in Warri, Delta, Nigeria, that was founded in 1987. With congregations in more than 70 worldwide locations, the church averages a weekly attendance of 30,000 individuals. Therefore, it was no surprise that the founder, Papa Ayo, was elected the president of the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, PFN, from 2007 to 2013. Along the way, he became the president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, the first Pentecostal pastor to achieve the feat, and he held the post for 6 years. However, when the scandal came calling, it was just as behemoth as the pastor's achievements and reputation. Oritsejafor was among the few Nigerian pastors who could rival politicians and celebrities. He had influence over the president of Nigeria and other influential figures. The minister gained so much wealth from the ministry that it helped him live a flashy lifestyle only a few could dream of. Pastor Ayo Oritsejafor traveled around the world in private jets and several luxury cars. His Bombardier Challenger 601 is worth over $3.5 million. He also owns an impressive real estate portfolio with properties in Lagos and Delta State. In 2014, the South African government confiscated $9.3 million in cash smuggled in from Nigeria. The money was meant for the purchase of arms to fight the terrorist insurgency in the African nation. They also arrested 2 Nigerians and an Israeli with the cash. The individuals used a private jet that belonged to none other than Pastor Oritsejafor. It didn't take long for the masses to criticize the pastor for his role in the country's insecurity. He confirmed that the aircraft was his, adding that a war has been waged against the Nigerian church. But while Oritsejafor was dining with the president of the most populous Black nation and worsening the plight of ordinary citizens in the country, someone else committed fraud while being an advisor to 2 presidents. Number 9. Pastor Kirby John Caldwell.
You can't play basketball with a baseball glove. God is doing a new thing in your life, and you still holding on to what used to be.
Pastor Kirby John Caldwell is another pastor who was so influential that they rolled with the president. And this time, it was not even an African country. Caldwell served as spiritual advisor to United States presidents like George W. Bush and Barack Obama. Born in 1953 in Houston, Caldwell is the son of a celebrity tailor. However, he would go on a completely different route. He embraced the Christian ministry in the 1970s and graduated with a master's in 1981 from Perkins School of Theology. After that, he became Windsor Village United Methodist Church's senior pastor, helping them grow the megachurch to over 14,000 members. Caldwell was doing well for himself. He authored books and became very close to presidents, shaping the religious scene of the mightiest nation on earth.
If any person deserves the presumption of innocence, it's that man right there. He has helped and developed a whole community.
However, none of that influence saved him in 2018 when he was accused of fraud. In March that year, federal prosecutors accused him and Gregory Allen, a financial partner, of cheating investors to the tune of $3.4 million. The 13-count indictment stated that Caldwell partnered with Smith to dupe others by selling worthless historical Chinese bonds. Caldwell and his partner used the money to settle personal loans, mortgages, and vehicles. The remaining they put into credit cards.
Caldwell used his status as a pastor to convince victims they were making a legitimate investment, but instead, he used the money to pay down his own credit cards and mortgages.
On March 17, 2020, Caldwell was sentenced to 6 years in prison after pleading guilty to the crimes.
Kirby John H. Caldwell has been sentenced to 6 years in prison for scamming investors out of millions of dollars. The 67-year-old was a former spiritual advisor to Presidents George W. Bush.
He was also made to pay back the money to the investors. Caldwell was a trusted minister who used his position to lure people into investing in worthless courses. The next pastor didn't have half the influence of Caldwell, but he still stole money. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 99% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Number 8. Pastor Orlando Franklin.
We got leadership that's been voted out as of yesterday, and that leadership is refusing to leave, so the members are standing firm here so that we won't have service this morning.
Pastor Orlando Franklin of the New Galilean Church in Jackson, United States, was another pastor caught misusing church funds. However, while some members thought it was time for the man to step aside as their preacher, others thought he was still the man for the job. What followed was a fierce battle that turned the church premises upside down. They said the pastor came into power after the demise of the former pastor. They all believed in him, and he got 147 votes. However, things began to unravel after his appointment. Church members had issues with his leadership style and were not allowed to express themselves. In 2015, they had finally had enough of the pastor, and a new election was organized. Over 400 people voted in support of the termination of his tenure. 300 congregants also signed a petition that was going to be delivered officially in the middle of March.
When he was voted in, he only got 147 votes. On yesterday, we voted him out. Over 400 people voted him out.
What they did not know was that Pastor Franklin had the support of some members and deacons. The supporting members were at the entrance, preventing members from entering, and if they managed to enter, they'd still have to deal with the deacons who stayed with the pastor in his office. According to the angry members, the pastor has mismanaged the church's funds. They said he spent money without any form of accountability.
This man was money hungry. He was after money because he came in spending money ridiculously. He was a manipulator, he was cunning.
And when they tried to complain, they were immediately shut down by the pastor and his allies. Their methods include turning off the mic and sending letters to them to stop attending the church.
If you don't agree with him, there have been 3 instances when people have tried to talk in church and he turned off the mic. And so they will send them a letter telling them that they're no longer needed from their positions.
Some members also argued that he was cunning and manipulative. If the congregation closest to the pastor has all these complaints, there really is nothing else we can add. Number 7. Dr. Juanita Bynum. Juanita Bynum is an American pastor, singer, and author. The New York Times crowned her the most prominent black female television evangelist in the country. Bynum's album titled Piece of My Passion reached number 55 on the Billboard 200 charts in 2006. We should add that the minister is also a businessman. In 2020, she released a prayer kit that went to people who could part with $133 to donate to her ministry. People saw through the gimmick in no time, with one Facebook comment saying, "Just be honest and ask for donations because all the gigs are shut down for now. Sheesh. This is not the time for this. People are losing their jobs and trying to survive and feed their families. And if that's what she's trying to do as well, just be honest and ask for help." Another said, "A whole prayer kit." So what if your prayer isn't answered due to using the kit? This seems a little bit outlandish to me due to the severity of our world. This is not the time to capitalize on gimmicks. These comments could stop her from generating huge money to fund her lavish wedding. But coming up with creative ways of taking people's money isn't the only way she's running her hustle. Bynum also uses the traditional embezzlement style. In 2024, 2 religious nonprofit organizations under Bynum were under investigation when they discovered that $1.7 million was missing from the accounts. Despite this, Bynum continues to demand huge donations from church members without accountability. She just has to promise them God's blessings, and they're bringing out their purses immediately. Number 6. Shepherd Bushiri. Shepherd Bushiri is a 1983-born Malawian pastor and businessman. He is known as Major One and is the founder of Enlightened Christian Gathering, also called the Jesus Nation Church. The pastor has a presence in other African countries, especially South Africa, where his Shepherd Bushiri Investments is based. Bushiri is reportedly one of the wealthiest pastors in the world, having been mentored by millionaire businessman and pastor, Prophet Hubert Angel. However, Bushiri's company has often been dragged into various controversies: tax evasion, fraud, money laundering, Ponzi schemes, and any crime related to finances. Shepherd Bushiri Investments has been involved.
Breaking news, controversial prophet Shepherd Bushiri has been arrested. The Enlightened Christian Gathering church leader is facing fraud and money laundering.
In February 2019, Bushiri and his wife were arrested for financial crimes. However, the couple fled to Malawi before the case returned to court. He said he ran away because of fear for his life, but many believe he was simply trying to avoid a jail term and confiscation of his properties. He travels in private jets, and his luxury car fleet includes a Rolls-Royce, a Maserati, an Aston Martin, and a Mercedes G63. The pastor is a magnet for controversies, whether launching shady investments or performing staged miracles.
In the name of Jesus Christ. Take it!
Despite being one of the richest pastors in Africa, he doesn't miss any opportunity to squeeze out more from his followers. In March 2017, he launched investment schemes that demanded huge sums from church members. In December that year, he reportedly charged money from people who attended his public dinners. The pastor has also been accused of multiple sexual crimes. Number 5. Pastor E. A. Adeboye.
You are prayerless. That's why you are still fornicating. We are asking that the Lord conquer us.
In early August 2025, some Nigerian youths across social media platforms like X, TikTok, and Facebook came together to criticize one pastor. That's Pastor E. A. Adeboye, the founder and senior pastor of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. This came after the clergyman made a comment during an annual camping program held at the church's massive auditorium. He advised the people to stop going after wealth and enjoined them to stick with religion. However, hundreds of thousands of youths quickly reminded him of his various money-chasing ventures. God does not hate enjoyment, but the body you pamper, shine, and make up will perish one day. Take care of the spirit, for that is what will go to heaven. The body does not want you to be an overcomer, he said. The comment had not started making the rounds for long when pictures of his luxury properties and private jets made their way online. One post on X wrote, "Says the man living his best life in the same body, flying jets, driving expensive cars, eating the best foods." Another one said, "Pastor Adeboye reportedly owns a private jet, a mansion, has access to luxury vehicles, but he's preaching against prioritizing material wealth over their spiritual well-being." Many top Nigerian men of God are known to live a lavish lifestyle, almost never practicing what they preach. Apart from the private jet, Pastor Adeboye reportedly has luxury cars and properties in Nigeria and abroad, yet he's telling his followers not to seek the same. Number 4. Pastor Eddie Long. Pastor Eddie Long was one of the pastors investigated by the Senate Investigative Committee of 2007. The pastor refused to cooperate with the investigation, concealing how much he receives as salary. For 3 years, the committee looked into pastors like Kenneth Copeland, Joyce Meyer, Creflo Dollar, Paula White, and Benny Hinn. With Eddie Long's refusal to disclose his salary, the committee found no definitive wrongdoing. Those who refused to cooperate were not penalized, but Long's donations took a hit, as a few members of his donors started to see how the ministers misused the funds that were supposed to help their congregants and communities. Before his demise, Eddie Long was the senior pastor of New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in DeKalb County, Georgia. While he helped to increase the number of congregants, he did so while putting church money on display. He was known for flashy apparel and a showy style. In 2010, Long was criticized when some of his escapades came to light. 5 individuals who used to be under his care said he assaulted them. This was possible because he used his position to lure them and used church funds to finance most of the experiment. According to the men, he bought them gifts and paid for their transportation to the places where the abuse happened. Long maintained that the claims were false and that he's devoted to helping others, but the victims say he used the scripture to justify the actions. In the end, they settled out of court on undisclosed terms. Number 3, Pastor David E. Taylor.
A place that the ministry owns. Well, not own, we're in the process of buying that.
Pastor David E. Taylor must have thought he could spend all the church's money without accountability. He never expected to be under any scrutiny, because when he did, he had no answer. Taylor is the head of Joshua Media Ministries. In 2015, he was interrogated about the ministry's questionable finances. Clearly, the man spent everything like his personal cash without thinking of the consequences. To draw attention away from irrational spending, he makes huge claims such as raising the dead, healing the blind and deaf, and dismantling trafficking rings. The reality is that those miracle claims are just a distraction from his spending on mansions, cars, and designer clothing. When asked why he needed Versace and Louis Vuitton clothes, he answered that he sweats on them. He even mentioned that he needed clothes from stores with better TV appearances.
This is for clothes concerning my TV ministry as well.
Or you have to wear Louis Vuitton?
Oh, it don't matter what.
It is the same thing for cars. The pastor owns the biggest names such as Bentley, Mercedes, Range Rover, and BMW. He spent $50,000 trying to convert one of the cars into a limo. He claims it is for guests, but who needs a limo to attend a church gathering? Pastor Taylor's various allowances continue to eat deep into the church's funds. Former members of the church have accused the pastor of running the church like a cult, possibly to conceal the shady finances and prevent accountability. No wonder Ministry Watch rated his church an F for its financial murkiness. Number 2, Pastor Creflo Dollar.
If you need an offering envelope for your giving this morning, lift your hands up and the ushers will go ahead and get that in your hands.
Pastor Creflo Dollar is an Atlanta-based minister and televangelist who might be mistaking the significance of a last name. It seems like the pastor wants to get every single dollar for himself, and he's starting with his congregation. His signature style involves wearing the most expensive designer suits, riding in luxurious cars, and living in enormous mansions. Many pastors preach the prosperity gospel, but none do it like Creflo Augustus Dollar. He founded Christian World Changers Church International in College Park, Atlanta, Georgia. He has been criticized for taking advantage of the congregation to live the best life. But this man does not care.
I can believe God as long as I want to. If I want to believe God for a $65 million plane, you cannot stop me. You cannot stop me from dreaming.
In 2015, he came under fire when he announced intentions to purchase a high-end $60 million private jet, the Gulfstream G650. And no, the money wouldn't come from his pocket or salary. He asked his congregation to donate massively towards this personal project disguised as a ministry tool. His excuse? He couldn't preach the gospel effectively without a private jet.
Which way is this jet important for your ministry?
Well, in order for me to do what I've been called to do, the airlines, they don't fly my schedule.
And that was after he decided he was tired of preaching in a Rolls Royce. This pastor doesn't ride in a car if it's not one of the most luxurious, and extends to his residences too. Dollar has multiple mansions to his name. One of them is a $2.5 million home in Atlanta. When he's in New Jersey, you'll find him in another mansion of his. It is easy to see why these pastors focus so much on preaching the prosperity gospel. As a matter of fact, it is the only way for them to fund their expensive lifestyle at the expense of church members. But this next pastor takes it to a whole new level. Number 1, Pastor Bling Bling. His name is Lamore Whitehead. Born in 1978, he is an American Protestant minister who headed the Leaders of Tomorrow International Church, which he founded in 2014. While the church was located in the modest neighborhood of Canarsie in Brooklyn, New York, the pastor's lifestyle is nothing close to modest. He's known for a wide assortment of flashy and designer jewelry, hence the nickname Pastor Bling Bling. But that's not all. The preacher has an equally large wardrobe to match his blings, consisting of the most premium quality clothes. You'd be forgiven for mistaking him for a. Despite this, members of his congregation continue to donate to the pastor. But it doesn't stop there. Whitehead drives a Rolls-Royce and other expensive cars. He owns a 9,000 square foot property in New Jersey. The mansion he purchased in 2019 has 6 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms. In 2021, he continued to add more properties to his name, buying houses in Hartford, Connecticut. Whitehead didn't just live a life of luxury off the funds from his church. He took maximum advantage of all the opportunities that came his way. In 2013, Eric Adams, then Brooklyn Borough President, introduced him as a friend.
My boy, Eric Adams, and the first black borough president. And I had a meeting with him yesterday, and we had a phenomenal experience.
Whitehead publicly appeared with Eric Adams until he ran for the same post in 2021. That same year, a former congregant of his church, Pauline, sued him, alleging that the pastor swindled her out of $90,000. He had promised to help Pauline with the property purchase and renovation. He failed to fulfill his end of the bargain and claimed the money was a donation to his campaign. Meanwhile, this was not his first rodeo. 9 individuals have reported Whitehead in 2004 for identity theft. He was arrested a year later for fraud and identity theft, with over 50 victims. He served 5 years in jail after his conviction. For his new crime, he got 9 years in prison.
A Manhattan federal jury today finding Whitehead guilty of defrauding a parishioner and trying to extort a businessman.
It's been a long time coming, and we're very happy to see that the verdict was guilty today.
This is a pastor who doesn't know when to stop. As long as congregants are ready to donate, they're ready to gulp everything. And with that chilling case, we've come to the end of the video. How ironic is it that pastors tell their followers that money is the root of evil, but still get caught having a love affair with the same evil? And speaking of love affairs, we have another video of pastors who got exposed by people they have romantic relationships with. Their real cases are even more disturbing. Check it out and subscribe to the channel for more awesome content like this one.